Hello to all of you unconventional conventionists. This week on Rocky Talkie, we are thrilled to announce our next guest host.
That's right. This week, we're going to be joined on air by Sam the Hobo, the incredibly talented, incredibly funny, and out-of-this-world hot leader of the JCCP cast in Pittsburgh. Hi, Sam.
Heyo!
Sam, before our full-length episode drops on Thursday, we'd like to grace our listeners with the chance to learn about you and to be regaled with all of the fantastic stuff that you've done during your time in the Rocky Horror Shadowcasting community. So we've come up with a little Q&A sesh. Are you ready to get grilled?
Drop me down, make me hot, and flip me over. Let's go.
Oh, all right, Sam. So the first question that we have to ask all of our guests, we'd love to hear about your Rocky Horror origin story. When did you first see the movie and the show for the first time? What was that like?
Yeah, sure. I think, like most of us, I was a weird, quirky kid in high school, and I wanted to make some friends, so I went to my theater group and said, "Hey, how do I join?" Meaning the friend group, not the actual play, but they forced me into that as well. And they basically said, "Hey, please watch this movie and read this book." And the movie was Rocky Horror, and the book was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I studiously followed their rules and read and watched and enjoyed, and then also tried out for the play. Then once I did all of that, they said, "Hey, we'll pick you up in October whenever the show's going on." And I said, "No, the show's going on in September," meaning the play. And they said, "Oh, we'll just pick you up, don't worry." So then fast forward to October of, I think it was 2006, I half got kidnapped, half just willingly went with my friends to the Oaks Theater in Oakmont, Pennsylvania, where the JCCP was reuniting for a Halloween show. Got to see the Halloween show there and was stunned and in awe of such an amazing wonder that is shadowcasting that I immediately went up to the cast leader and said, "How do I join?" And they immediately said, "Wait until you're 18, then come back." So I did that, and September of 2007, I auditioned and joined the JCCP.
Amazing. Oh.
So, we know that you've been a part of JCCP's leadership for quite some time.
Yeah, more or less from about, I think it was 2008 to 2012, I was vice president. And then from 2019 to present, I was the cast Erwin Lapsey, aka president.
And anyone who has spent any significant amount of time in charge of a cast knows that there can be some really rewarding moments and some moments that are particularly rough. We'd like to draw the curtain back for a sec and ask if you could talk about any particularly challenging moments that you may have experienced as a cast leader.
I would love to say that everything about my cast is perfect all the time, and that would be true. Absolutely true. The cast is wonderful. But really, I think, like a lot of casts, our hardest time was during the pandemic, when we couldn't meet in person, we couldn't do shows. And that was really the hardest thing that I think we as a cast went through together. Staying consistent, continuing to have meetings over Zoom, and also continuing just to talk to each other and plan things, even just virtually. It's particularly hard to do because of how difficult it is to remain online all the time. But also, it's just not as rewarding. So, coming through the pandemic was the most difficult thing our cast has gone through so far. But I think we got through it okay, and we're planning so many cool and amazing things now that we're back.
I mean, hell yeah, you guys did a ton of stuff during the pandemic. You were super active in the community, doing virtual shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, Sam, let's get into some fun stuff. We want you to slap your magnum dong on the table and tell us about your proudest moment with Rocky.
Sure, my Magnum Dong is multi-pronged, I believe.
Ooh.
I can't choose just one specific, so I'm just gonna rush through a few. YinzCon. YinzCon was amazing. It was our first con that we did here in Pittsburgh. Super proud of that. We had Barry Bostwick come to the show before, and I sort of semi-forced him to stay with the promised that my Dr. Scott would be worth it for him to stay for. And it's really fun for me to say that our cast is still very good friends with Stephen Chbosky, the guy who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, and he checks in on us every so often. I
Aw.
think that's awesome and real adorable. But I think my absolute proudest, just me doing Rocky Horror junk, is anytime I get to do Dr. Scott with a different cast and I don't tell them I'm doing Dr. Scott the way I do Dr. Scott, and just seeing everyone's face just go slack and just unsure of what the hell is going on while I run around with my feet in a duck-footed position.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, biggest takeaway there, you somehow managed to get Barry Bostwick to stay for an entire Rocky show. That is no small feat.
Hey, get it? You said feet.
No, he has very large feet.
Yeah, exactly. God, Aaron, where the hell have you been?
You know, we did just find out last week he's 6'4", right? So, you know what they say about tall guys.
What do they say about tall guys, Aaron?
They need long suspenders.
Gotta go to the big and tall section. I'll show you a big and tall section.
Of my dick.
Yeah. High five from 8 hours away. Nice. Sam, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We have loved getting to know you, and we cannot wait to have you on this Thursday's episode.
But before we go, are you or your cast doing anything really cool that you've just got to tell all of our listeners about?
I've just gotta tell you all about the terrifying thing that is called Reefer Madness, the movie musical. The JCCP is going to be shadowcasting Reefer Madness, the movie musical, on April 23rd, with all of the dancing, all of the crazy props, and it is spectacular. I cannot wait for people to see it. And then after that, on April 30th, we're going to be doing a hat show where everyone basically just draws their Rocky Horror role out of a hat, and that's what they're playing for the night. And we do this all an hour before the show. So it's going to be a little chaotic, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we just can't wait to bring you all these cool upcoming shows.
Oh, that is fucking fantastic.
Excellent. And of course, if any of our listeners are interested in checking out any of the JCCP's upcoming performances, we will have them all linked for you in our show notes.
Sam, thank you so much again for joining us. I can't wait for this week's episode.
If you want to hear more from Sam and us, be sure to tune in to next week's episode of Rocky Talkie Podcast, where you'll hear all the latest news and updates from the Rocky Horror community.
We'll talk to yins on Thursday.
Bye!
Bye.
Goodbye. And to be regaled with all of the fantastic stuff that you've done during your time in the Rocky Horror Shadowcasting community. So, we've come up with a little Q&A sesh. Are you ready to get grilled?
Hey, drop me down, make me hot, and flip me over.
Hell
You've been
yeah!
planning that.
John, it's regaled.
What the fuck did I say?
Regaled.
I'm going to say regaled.
Love it.
Yeah. And to be regaled with all the fantastic stuff that you've done during your time in the Rocky Horror Shadowcasting community.
I hate you.
What is it, regaled?
Yeah. Perfect.
Aaron, you're writing so short, sweet, to the point this time.
I didn't write this.
Yeah, I could tell.
Wait until you get to the other doc, John.
I swear to Christ, if we're here for 3 fucking hours again, I'm never doing this show again.